This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Happy Friday. Manitoba is seeing an early surge in cases of a respiratory virus called RSV. It can affect the small airways in the lungs of young children and babies. And in severe cases, it can lead to hospitalization. CBC's Alana Cole reports.
So she has to be without oxygen for 24 hours before we can leave.
This is Lauren Kelly and her daughter. She's just under 2. This is day 8 in hospital.
It's been terrifying. Certainly not something I would wish on any parent.
Kelly says her daughter first got sick with COVID-19. 2 weeks later, she got sick again. After trips to the doctor and the children's emergency department, she still wasn't breathing right. She was admitted to ICU and tested positive for RSV. Like elsewhere, Manitoba is seeing an early surge in RSV cases. Shared Health says since July, 188 children have presented at Winnipeg's Children's Hospital with acute bronchiolitis, which is caused by RSV in most cases, and there's been 46 RSV-related hospitalizations. Dr. Elizabeth Doyle is the medical director and section head of pediatric emergency medicine. She says they typically don't see a rise in RSV cases until November. She says it's particularly serious for babies under 3 months, in premature infants, or in those with underlying conditions.
Breathing fast or work of breathing. So sometimes little babies will engage their tummy muscles, they'll suck in between their ribs. That's difficulty breathing.
As for Kelly, her daughter has now been diagnosed with asthma. They're hoping to go home this weekend. Alana Cole, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Northern Manitoba is coming together after a house fire in Thompson claimed the lives of 4 children under the age of 11 earlier this week. A vigil will be held in Thompson tomorrow. The family has ties to both Pimichikamak and Tasqueyak Cree Nations in Northern Manitoba. Thompson Mayor Colleen Smook says the city is doing what it can to support those affected by Wednesday's fire, including the surviving family members and first responders.
It's just so important for us to be there and show our respect, and the family, the neighbors, the friends will need that, the support in the coming weeks, months, years.
The cause of the fire hasn't been released, but police said it does not appear to be suspicious. Canada is introducing a new way for Canadians to financially support Ukraine. The federal government is going to offer so-called Ukrainian sovereignty bonds. Justin Trudeau gave details today while addressing the Ukrainian-Canadian Congress in Winnipeg.
It'll be a lot like the Government of Canada bonds people are familiar with. These funds will go to support the government of Ukraine so they can continue to support the Ukrainian people.
The bonds will be available at major banks, and just like guaranteed income certificates, they'll mature over 5 years. Trudeau also announced new sanctions targeting dozens of Russians in the energy sector. Physician and business groups are calling on the province to do more to attract and retain doctors. Doctors Manitoba and the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce released 5 recommendations today for rural and northern Manitoba. One calls for better peer and mentor supports to combat burnout. The organizations want more financial incentives to help attract and keep doctors here.
People will have to drive further, leave their communities to go, instead of maybe what would have been a 20-minute drive, more like an hour and a half or a 2-hour drive to just get basic medical care.
Bradshaw says in Manitoba's 4 rural health regions, the number of doctors per capita is below the national average. Well, they've worked together for 8 years, but they've never before had a meeting like the one they had today. Mayor-elect Scott Gillingham met with outgoing Mayor Brian Bowman this afternoon. The two held a private conversation to discuss the transition to a new administration. Gillingham said they also talked about their last 2 terms working together. Both were first elected in 2014.
He knows I'll work very hard. We have that relationship that he knows my work ethic. But he told me to take time to enjoy it because there's very, very few people, only, so far 43 and now 44 of us in the history of Manitoba that will enjoy this privilege, this honor.
Gillingham will be sworn in as the next mayor of Winnipeg on Tuesday. Well, it was a tragedy that shook the city. A young man killed in a violent home invasion while trying to protect his grandmother. CBC's Austin Grabish shows us how the teenager's memory lives on.
Watching over a new bakery in his name, Jamie Adeo Jr.'s presence is felt.
I'm really speechless today because I always remember him and I want to continue his legacy.
Jimboy's Delicacies opened in Garden City on Friday. The store is named after Jamie Adeo Jr., who was affectionately known as Jimboy by his family and friends. The 17-year-old was murdered in a random home invasion in 2019. The bakery is the family's fourth store to open and will serve all-day breakfast in addition to many Filipino buns and treats, all in Jimboy's name.
He's gone, he's in heaven. We're still continuing what his dream is. So we are here again. Never stop dreaming.
Jimboy was a talented baker who was well-liked by his high school friends. The teen was just months away from graduating when he was murdered.
But I know that he's happy watching us and continuing his legacy, my dear.
A legacy that is ongoing with Jimboy looking ahead. Austin Grabish, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The Winnipeg Jets have 2 new inductees in their Hall of Fame.
When you fall love in this city and the fans and everything, and then you next day you're gone, you almost feel that you failed and you don't worth anything. So it was tough moment, and they always told me that the first trade is always the toughest, and they were right. It was emotionally very hard.
Former Jets and good friends Timo Solanne and Teppo Nunaman will be officially inducted in November. Solanne recalled the difficult day in 1996 when he found out he was traded mid-season to Anaheim. The induction ceremony will happen during the November 17th game against the Anaheim Ducks. As we head to break, a look at the sky over Selkirk tonight. This colorful and breathtaking display, a free drone light show. The drones have LED lights embedded on them. It's the design and imagination of Selkirk entrepreneur Anu Patel. Your weekend forecast is up next.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. 22 model clear out is on now.
Welcome back. Well, another pleasant day across the province today, and we are going to see another pleasant weekend on tap for us. Here's a look at our overnight temperatures, dropping down to around 5 degrees to start the day on Saturday. Then we see another sunny and warm day tomorrow, 14 for Winnipeg and Brandon, a little bit warmer toward the southwest corner of the province, 15 tomorrow in Dauphin. We could see some precipitation into parts of northern Manitoba as well. We'll show that to you on Futurecast. Getting into the day on Saturday, we'll see this cloud move out. We'll start the day mainly sunny, and then there's a sunny and calm light wind day tomorrow. Heading into Sunday, we have an area of instability moving into northern Manitoba. This could bring us some rain, perhaps a rain-snow mix to areas like Thompson over towards Shamattawa and Island Lake into the early part of Sunday and into Monday. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. A breezy one on the way for Sunday again with a high of 12 degrees. Mix of sun and cloud on Monday at 14 for Halloween. And then we start to see our pattern changing toward the later part of next week. We could see some snow toward the late part of next week as well. And that is your late news for this Friday. Thank you for being with us. Have a great weekend.